All right, we all know the real estate market is shifting. How can you change and adapt in these current times? Well, in this interview, I interview who I consider to be the king of expired calling, Jim Chamberlin. He has been calling expireds for over 20 years, and he has also coached thousands of agents, and he is the head of a very popular Facebook group called Take 52, where everybody holds each other accountable, and it is a goal to get a journey of taking your first 52 listings. And in this video, we go over role playing to scripting to the best time to call, and it's one of the best interviews I think I have done. So definitely watch the video and let's get right into it. All right, so I got my buddy Jim Chamberlin on here. Jim, I've known you for years, and you've kind of always been to me when someone mentions expireds, I don't think you really get the credit you deserve. Your name always comes up to me. You have been like the go-to expired guy, like way before people were calling expireds, and obviously now, like, the market is shifting, and I actually just had my first listing personally here expire. So we're going to be like seeing a lot more, here coming in the next couple of years. Is that kind of like what you're thinking as well?
Yeah, we're seeing the shift, right? We're seeing the market shift, and expireds and cancels are certainly increasing in the market.
Yeah, for sure, man. So like, if I'm like brand new or like maybe even like seasoned, and I say like, all right, I want to get into calling expireds, and we all kind of like hear it, even like me personally, like, what should I expect, right? Like, I just get on a dialer and make the phone call. Like, what's the thing that I would expect to happen?
Well, I think to expect is number one, you want to make sure that you have a good source of data, a good source of numbers, right? It's hard work. There's no doubt about it, but it's definitely a learned skill. So if you have the desire to learn it, you can definitely learn it. You can expect that in the beginning. If you haven't prospected before, you're probably going to have some call reluctance. Okay. The call reluctance is definitely directly connected with your skill. And again, that's a learned process. So we can definitely shift that pretty quickly. So it's definitely hard work. And there's really two major components to making money when prospecting, the consistency and your skill set. So the level of those two items are going to determine how much money you make.
Right. Yeah. So I think when I used to do it, where I messed up, and I've seen agents, honestly, through the years, you've been in the business a long time, like I have, they'll like get somebody, right? And then the person will say, just give me 6 months. And they can't get the appointment. And then they put them into whatever CRM they're using, and then they never call them again. I would think that's like a big mistake as well, right?
Yeah. And the thing is, I think a lot of folks that are prospecting, especially when they're new, they're happy to get off the phone, because they have that call reluctance and they're a little nervous. And they're happy with a lead because they feel like they, accomplished and received or got something from making the phone call. And so they're kind of happy to get off the phone. And then it comes to the lead follow-up, to be honest. And that's where you're going to get most of your appointments and most of your listings is from the follow-up. But if you're lacking the skill, you don't know what to say when you call them back. So a lot of times those leads will just sit there and somebody else will take advantage of them.
Yeah, exactly. Like I've seen some good teams or good agents that call expires, like they'll end up mailing something afterwards, and they really go that extra mile. Like, so like you said, like, you get up and you got to be consistent. Like, what's a good schedule to use? Like, if I was going to be like, all right, I want to do this and I want to call expires, like, what would that look like?
Yeah. So here's what I would do. So the schedule first is that, we want to create this habit, and we're creating a habit of doing something that we really don't want to do, right? Which is phone prospect.
Yeah.
So, we need a trigger to create that habit. And so nothing better to do with that would be a role play partner. I would definitely get a role play partner for every day. Matter of fact, I'd get 5 different role play partners, one for every day, starting at 7:30, because if you start role playing at 7:30, that would be the perfect trigger to create that habit of prospecting and starting at 8 o'clock. So starting at 8 o'clock is just so critical, but there's so many advantages besides creating the habit. You'll reach more people per hour, right? You'll get them, the folks that you do reach will be less aggravated. And often sellers only make an appointment with one agent more than 50% of the time, in my experience. So if I set the appointment at 8 o'clock, Chris, and you call at 9 o'clock, you might not even get someone to answer the phone. So there's just so many advantages. Oh, another big one is that you'll get the easy or free business. What I mean by that is, and this happens to me so many times, where you're on the phone with somebody and you get somebody and they're giving you the appointment. It's the easiest phone call you ever had. So, somebody, let's say their home expired last night. They still want to sell their home, but they're not going to go back with the agent that failed them. So now they have the duty, or the task rather, of trying to interview and find another agent. And boom, you call them at 8 o'clock and you ask questions, which is following a script, and they'll give you the appointment and you'll get the listing, and you didn't get it on merit. You just basically got it because you're in the right place at the right time.
Yeah, you're like at the right place at the right time. Yeah.
Yeah. And that happens.
For sure. Yeah, I remember when I used to call like them a lot, which I hated, to be honest with you. But it worked. Sometimes I would get around to calling at like 10:30, and by that time they were kind of like annoyed. You know, so like,
you got to be pretty aggressive with it. You got to have thick skin, and it definitely takes a unique individual to make these calls, but it's extremely profitable. I mean, this is where a bulk of my business came from over the years.
Yeah, I always get annoyed because you'll see like these agents, and they're in my marketplace, right? And they'll be like on stage, and they're like, I made 500,000 this year, and I called expired, and then I'm like, man, they actually netted $500,000 because they don't really have any expenses. You know, like they're just calling expireds, or not like paying Zillow thousands of dollars or whatever to get leads, you know?
Yeah. So for Chris, for years, that's all I did. You know,
I remember you were like up in Vermont, right?
Yeah. Before I got involved with Vulcan, I was a client of theirs, and I would just hammer the phones all day long, and I would just get, sell 40, 50, 60, even 70 homes a year, just rocking and rolling. And again, you don't have there's no expense. You have your computer, your phone, and Vulcan. So,
I think, and I think what ended up happening is like more lead sources coming around, that people were selling leads to realtors. Then it kind of took away that call reluctance, and you're like, well, I'd rather pay some money for a lead, right? But now these leads are just, these people are registering on all kinds of websites, and the lead cost is getting like a lot more money, right? So, like, what's like the most important thing you think someone should know before like they start calling expireds? Or
before they start, know what to expect. Know that you're not gonna hit your the ground running. So you gotta pay the price. And so if you just go about it with the proven path, which is get a script, get some role play partners, the consistency, you're going to get there. Just don't give up after 30 days of getting your teeth kicked in, making these calls, because it's going to happen. So you got to stick it out. And I tell you, the people that do, I see it. I see people that come to us with zero experience, but yet they're showing up every week and getting help from me and asking questions. Before you know it, they're on the right track.
Yeah, 100%. Like, what do you do? Like, I mean, honestly, like I heard a good quote from James Clear, and he said, do something till it gets easier. And he's like a big habits guy. So I honestly, dude, like I know for me 100%, if tomorrow I said I'm going to get up at 8 a.m. and call expireds, I would have a ton of call reluctance, and I've been doing this for 20 years. Like, how do you get over that?
Well, so the call, increase your skill. The quick answer to that, Chris, is to increase your skill. Your skill's not going to happen overnight. Okay. So again, the role playing, getting a script, handwriting it out, practicing it, reading it. There are easier calls to kind of, get yourself into the low end of the pool, so to speak. So for instance, you can be calling, because there's different lead sources, right? You have expireds, which is the toughest call and probably where you have the highest call reluctance. But you have past clients and center of influence. These people know, like, and trust you. Those are easy conversations to be having, right? So if you have massive call reluctance, you can start there. Another easy one is to do, I call it cold calling, but basically geo calling, or just listed, just sold, calling into our neighborhood. There's not much resistance with those phone calls. The source of the lead, though, because they're not, you don't even know if they own a home, the call of the lead's not going to be there. The nice thing about seller leads, which I love, is that you can't swipe your credit card and buy them. You can't buy them. Buyer leads, of course, you can give your credit card to all these lead providers, which makes it kind of easy, right? So if you want to become a listing agent and have a business rather than a cool job, there's many ways of getting the business, but for sure, one proven duplicatable way is to get on the phone and get the appointment.
Yeah. And what I like about like the strategy of the expireds is, let's say you get a listing, right? And then you can hold an open house at it. That's free. Doesn't cost you much money. And the other day on my team, they were really scared about calling, and two of them were holding open houses, and I jumped in. And I was like, and honestly, I didn't even want to do it. I didn't know how it would go. And I called around the area and invited the neighbors to the open house. And everyone was like, thank you so much. Oh my God, this is so nice of you. Thank you for inviting me. Like, I want to try to help you sell the house. And so I had like 15 conversations that went like this. And the funny thing is, it was like 2 o'clock on like a Wednesday, And anyways, like the guy that did the open house, he was like, man, 4 of those people showed up to the open house. And I was like, you know what? There's like 4 people that you could add to your sphere or you could follow up with. And it was like a really easy thing. So, and of course, I've been calling for years, but I think it's going to be the same with expires. Like, not everyone's going to go like that, but you're going to start to get where you're like, all right, I'm talking to this many people. And then you're building your sphere, and then you get listings and you can get sign calls, open houses, all that, right?
Yeah. So Chris, you hit it right on the head. I always say listings have babies,
Yeah,
really,
dude, exactly.
They really do. They really do.
Yeah, I think like Zillow and Realtor.com and all these other companies, coaching companies have really like tried to get us into buyer leads. And I think right now the sellers are going to be key with this low, with the way the market's going. Yeah.
I think it's true in any market, whether it's a hot buyer's market or a hot seller's market, the agent with the most amount of listings is probably making the most amount of money.
Right.
Yeah.
So look, yeah, exactly. Yeah. And that's the way it is, man. Your signs in the yard, people see you. They see you on Zillow still because your name's out there, all that. Like, all right, so let's just say I'm really green. I get into it. Like, how many people should I talk to before I can think I can get an appointment? And then, how can I know, like, all right, this is like not normal. I need to get better with my scripting. But how do I know, all right, this is actually pretty good? Like, I'm talking to 20 people and I'm getting an appointment. Like, you coach thousands of agents. Like, what does that look like?
So it's different though, Chris. I'll give you some answers, but it's going to be different for the agent because of their skill, their work ethic, and of course the real estate market, which is always changing. Okay, so there's a good rule of thumb, right? A good rule of thumb is, or something to start with. So a lot of people want to know, how long should I be prospecting, right? And they want to know, should I do it for an hour, 2 hours? And I think the better answer is to determine how many contacts you need to make to get your goal or hit your goal. So basically reverse engineer this out. So take your income, right? Figure out what your what your GCI is going to be,
right?
And average commission. Figure out how many transactions that's going to be. Figure out how many listings that's going to be, sold listings versus buyers, and then determine how many appointments do you need. So there's a couple variables. One variable, Chris, is your appointment taken to list your listing to appointment taken ratio. Okay. So if you're new and haven't been on a lot of appointments, just use 50% as a good starting point. Okay. So if you go on 100 listing appointments, you're going to get 50 of them. The other variable in this whole little scenario is the contacts to an appointment. So if you knew what your contact to an appointment number is, the ratio, and your appointment to list and taken ratio, then it truly becomes a numbers game. It truly does.
Yeah.
So to start with, Chris, you can put 50% as a appointment to list and taken ratio. That's a very conservative number. And just a number to throw out and throw on the wall would be a 75 contacts, which is a live answer, not conversations, but live answers, which include wrong phone numbers. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. People just telling you to go pound sand. That counts as a contact. Okay. Wrong phone numbers count as a contact. 75, just put that in, but it's written in pencil. So it's just a placeholder. And to be honest, if your contact goal is 175 instead of 75, guess what? All you got to do is just work more time. You just got to work more hours or make more calls to make the same amount of money. Because if you don't have appointments throughout the day and you're not in a money-making activity, what are you going to be doing?
Right. Yeah, exactly.
You should be making the calls anyhow.
Yeah, you got to do something, right? Yeah.
Yeah. So you just track these numbers, and then as you keep getting more appointments and more listings, the number you have becomes a lot more accurate, right? It's like the first week in baseball and you're hitting 400. That means you're going to hit 400 the rest of the year.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, give it 2 or 3 months and then see what your average is. That's going to be more of an accurate number, obviously.
Yeah, and it's also like, I think it's like trying to win the Super Bowl, but you don't practice, right? Like, I think you got to practice, you got to call. And one thing I like about the expireds too is I would rather go on an expired listing appointment if I'm new and inexperienced, because if I mess it up, at least I got practice and it's not someone I know, that has $1 million house. And they're like, Jim came, didn't even know what he was talking about, or, a lead that you paid a lot of money for. So they're good ones to kind of mess up and then you get, and a lot of the people I find, and you know more about this than me, they're pissed, but like, they really want someone that just to talk to that really cares. And the other agent probably didn't really do that anymore. Like, they gave up on them at some point.
Yeah, you're going to be surprised how many agents will go in and talk about what they're going to do versus asking questions. If you go in and ask questions,
right,
that's related to your client you're speaking with. Here's a big one though. I just really want to make sure people understand it's a lot harder to get the appointment than it is the listing. It's a lot harder.
Gotcha. Okay.
You know what I mean? Because if I hand you 3 listing appointments, Chris, you're going to come back with at least 2 of them.
Right.
You go in with a big smile, some enthusiasm, and a nice clean shirt, and ask some questions. You're going to get more than 50% of them. You know what I mean? So that's the relatively easy part, right? Setting the appointment though on the phone is the hard part. So the agent can crack the code and stick with it, can make a fortune in any market, especially the market we're heading into.
Yeah, too. Yeah, I really like that a lot. Like what like so you work with like Vulcan, right? Are you part of them or yeah, because there so I was gonna ask you where can you even get like these lead sources from? Like because I know it's hard to get people's numbers, right?
Yep, Vulcan 7, you know, I mean, I started off as a customer when I was selling real estate full time. They invited me to help their clients 3 years ago. And they said, hey, Jim, you know, man, our clients need some help. Can you help them? Right. And I'm like, sure. So, you know, it started out, you know, a couple hours a week. And now, you know, now I'm helping them quite a bit, which is awesome. And the agents are having tremendous success. Here's the deal. It's not the cost of the CRM. So forget that. I see people comparing one to the other.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
That's not it. You know, because Chris, we would all trade a nickel for a quarter. I mean, you know what I mean? So really what it comes down to, you know, if you could find a program that's $100 cheaper, but the data, you know, you don't have half the data, what good is it?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, like so. Yeah, because Vulcan's been around for a while. Like, and I can tell you too, like a dummy, like I paid for it and didn't call, and then like one time I was like, I'm gonna call, and all of a sudden I had all this data of like people who never sold, and like all the information was good. Like I was getting good contacts, good conversations, and I'll link below. A link to like sign up for Vulcan with Jim. And then you also, and we're going to get into like scripting, but then you also like have a Facebook group you're telling me about where people can find role play partners. You're in there, you're active in there.
They can, whether you're a client of ours or not, it doesn't matter. You know, we really come from contribution. You know, we have a Zoom call, we have a Facebook group, and they can register for the Facebook group. It's called Take 52, like Take 52 listings.
Okay.
And the Zoom call we do every Tuesday and Thursday. They can register for that at take52.com. And again, they don't have to be a client. You know, we don't care if they are or not. As long as they're a realtor, come in there and they're a contributor, we'll welcome them there. So
yeah, you know what's funny is like you and like, you know, people like Ken Pozak I've known for like 10 years, and we all met on like Facebook masterminds and all that. So all right, the age-old question, which everyone's going to do, is like, what's the best script to use? Like, is there? I always feel like the simpler, the better, right? Is that kind of
I think here's an answer. It's like, what's the best CRM? And I think the answer is the one that you use is probably the best answer, Chris. Gotcha. So I think I would say that if you have a coach, use their script. Okay.
Right.
That's the thing. Because if you don't have a coach, then go get a script that a coach has developed. And the reason is that script has proven over the years. The script I'm using, right, is the script that I was introduced by my coach 23 years ago. Right. And the reason I used it was proven, and it's still that same script is the same script I'm using 23 years ago because the business hasn't changed, right? And so if the script is designed around asking questions that are going to lead to the result that you're both looking for, that's a good script. Yes. So I see a lot of agents, Chris, they'll take a script or they'll take 2 scripts, right? And they'll merge them and make their own so that they, you know, make it comfortable for them. Don't do that. It never works. Just take the script, you know that it works, have some faith, and get good at it. And you're going to get your teeth kicked in. You're going to get your teeth kicked in. You got to practice. And that's what our Zoom calls are for. That's what we do, right? Yeah.
I think at the end of the day, a really good sales training, which I've really learned through the years, is like you ask questions that you already know the answer to. Exactly. So you're going to lead people into like give you the answer that you want. Like, and I'll give you an example. People is like, you know, if someone calls and says, yeah, you know, a buyer and they're not looking for a house, and you say, are you looking for a good deal? Most people, no one's going to say, no, I'm not, you know, you say, yes. So like, all right, so I know everyone's going to want this. So like, can we just do like a quick role play, and I'm going to be kind of tough on you.
Sure.
Is that all right? And all right. Yeah. See how Jim didn't, I told you, he's like the king of expires. Most people would have been like, pause the call for you now, but all right. So let's just act like, you know, I'm brand new in Vulcan. It's 8 a.m. And, you know, I just showed up as an expired. So
you're an expired listener. I'm going to call you.
Yep. Okay, cool. Yep.
So let's be clear. You expired last night. You had your home listed with an agent, and you still want to sell, obviously, because you had your home on the market, right?
Yeah. So I had it on the market for 4 months, and, you know, like it expired last night at midnight, and now it's the next day. And I may not even, like, say, No, just
All right, let's go. Let's
yeah,
do
let's
it.
just go for it. Okay, cool. Let's go. All right. So
All
hello,
right, ring, 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 ring.
hello.
Oh, hey, this is Jim with ABC Real Estate. I'm calling because I see your home showed up on my computer as off the market. I was just calling to see if you're still looking to sell it.
Oh man, that's funny. How did you get my number?
Got it from the internet, so you're still looking to sell your home?
Yeah, I am. I'm not gonna lie, man. I'm very frustrated. Like I had it on the market for a while and it just didn't sell. So I want to sell it, but I'm honestly thinking the market's shifting and I'm not gonna get the price I want.
You don't think you can get the price? Okay. So let me ask you this, Chris. When do you plan on interviewing, the right agent for the job of selling your home this time?
Dude, I haven't even thought about that. Like honestly, just to tell you the truth, like I'm very frustrated. Like I didn't really hear from the realtor at all, and then I called him and was like, "Hey, man, just take the sign down, get the thing out. Like I need a break." So honestly, you said your name was Jim. I haven't even like thought about it, man, to be honest. But I definitely got to sell it, so it's a real frustrating process.
Okay, it's a little
I mean,
frustrating.
what do you even do differently, dude, than
Well,
what
that's
that
a really
guy
good
did?
question. Let me ask you some
Yeah.
questions. If you sold this home, where are you guys going to go next?
Well, the problem is I'm getting transferred to Boston, and so I'm kind of like stuck at the moment.
Boston. Well, that's exciting. And ideally, Chris, when do you guys want to be in Boston?
Well, I was hoping to be there by the beginning of the year, which is what 2 months away. So that was when I needed to be there, but it ain't looking like I am now.
Okay, so you need to be there in a couple months. Ouch. So, Chris,
Yeah.
what do you think stopped your home from selling?
You know what? Honestly, man, the guy, really nice guy, came from a friend, but he put it on the market, put it in the MLS. He wasn't doing brokers opens. He wasn't doing open houses. He just wasn't doing anything. And then, obviously, I know the interest rates went up. I'm guessing that, but honestly, I just didn't really hear from them that much.
Hmm.
And so, but I think they could have definitely done a lot more.
Okay, so you didn't hear from him much. Interesting. So,
Yeah.
what did the agent do, that you liked best, Chris?
I mean, he definitely like when he had a lot of enthusiasm. We got like nice professional photos. I mean, it made my house look a lot better than it really is. I think he tried, but at the end of the day, I mean, the only thing I really liked is he did do good photos, nice guy, but this whole situation sucks, to be honest.
Okay, so he had some pictures. Excellent. Chris, what do you feel he should have done?
I mean, honestly, probably either held some open houses or maybe called some agents in the area to see like, why is it still? I mean, he could have even put an ad in our local like Facebook page or the newspaper. I mean, I definitely think there's plenty that are done, but I mean, honestly, man, like I feel like all realtors are the same at this point.
Okay, so you feel he should have done some more marketing, gotten some more action. Chris, what would you expect from the next agent that you're going to choose?
Probably like that they actually sell my house.
Get
I mean,
your house sold.
get my
Get your
house sold. Like, yeah,
Like
like I
that.
don't, but like I want them to get the house sold, but like be honest with me, like if you're not going to do something, all good, but like don't tell me we're going to do this and that and then not do it.
Okay, be honest, get the home sold so you can get the Boston. Now, have you already chosen an agent to work with, Chris?
Dude, I mean, I can't even believe you're actually calling me. It's 8 a.m. and no, I haven't. Yeah. I
You
mean,
haven't. Okay. Well, here's
yeah.
the thing. I would love to apply for the job of selling your home. Are you familiar with the techniques that I use to sell homes in this market?
I'm not.
Okay. When would be a good time to do it? I actually have some time today at 5. Is tomorrow at 3 better?
I mean, dude, like I'll let you come by and look at my place, but I don't, like, is this going to take a long time? Are you going to badger me to try to get you to sell it?
No, I'm not even sure if your home's the type of home that's selling, Chris, but you want to do that today at 5 or tomorrow at 3?
All right. Why don't you come by tomorrow at 3? And like,
So now
you
we're
can
out
take
of
a
the
look
role
at
play.
it. Yeah.
And now I'm out of the role play. But what I would do, Chris, is I would continue to go through and pre-qualify you
Right.
before it came out. And one of the most important pre-qualifying questions that is in the script is the last one, which says, if what I say makes sense and you feel comfortable and confident that I can sell your home, are you planning to list your home with me when I come out tomorrow? And all I'm looking for is you to answer anything but a no. Because now you might say, maybe we'll see, or anything like that. Because now you just admitted that I have a chance, and that this is really important for sale by owner, that that I'm coming out there to interview for the job of selling your home, not just to preview it like a lot of agents do with for sale by owners. Okay. So it's really important to pre-qualify the appointment once it's set. Okay.
Yeah. You know what I like that you did in there? And honestly, like what I said, so for people that are like, oh, this is full of crap, like it's what I heard when I used to call expireds a lot. what I like about what you did, and I kind of like, I think I learned this from you back in the day when you used to help train me, was you kind of just don't like shut up. You know what I mean? Like if you have a lot of confidence in your voice too, and then you're like, but you're asking me questions that like I kind of got to answer, right? Like I've got to, yeah, and like, yeah, I want to get the house. So what do you think I should have done? Like, and like no matter what I said or I steered you away from, you stuck to the script,
Just keep going, and
yeah.
Yep. And
yeah,
the thing
dude.
is, you're not going to get them all. You're not going to get them.
No, yeah.
And that's okay because you and I couldn't handle 1% of the market
right.
share. So and the thing is, if I didn't set the appointment with you right now, at least I identified you as the correct seller, and you're going to be a lead. And now you're just going to be sitting in my CRM, and I'm going to follow up with you. Okay, so that's the worst case. That's the worst case.
Yeah.
But I'm going to tell you, there's hardly any competition with agents making these calls. I know this now. Right now that I'm
you're in the trenches every day. The thing I like about you is like you're in the actual trenches where like a lot of coaches or people like they haven't sold a house in 20 years or done, you know what I mean, or they're not actively talking to agents.
Yeah, so the help I can help, the assistance I can give and the help, Chris, that I provided is something I've walked down the same path as everybody else. So and I come from contribution. I'm pretty straightforward kind of a guy, no BS. So we're just here to help, right?
Yeah, definitely, man. One other question, like let's say and I know a lot of people are going to think this, like let's say I log on and I get Vulcan and there's just not a lot of expireds right now, right? Like what else would you call, like what other
Chris, if there's not a lot of expireds, it's a good problem to have because that means we're in a strong seller's market. So that when you do latch on and get a listing, right, it's going to sell. It's a guaranteed paycheck. So be careful what you wish for. I remember calling in a market where, we had 9, 10, 11 months worth of home, supply with home.
I remember my market like that at one point. Yeah.
Yeah. So, it's not a bad thing. So, but there's not a lot of expireds. And if you're new to prospecting, you have old expireds, which are all these expireds that were in the past that you didn't call that are now in your database. Okay. That's number 2. Number 3, of course, you have for sale by owners. And we're always getting them.
Right.
Past client-centered influence. This is a major opportunity where most agents, in the beginning, Chris, I overlooked this opportunity.
Yeah.
But 10% of the size of your list knows somebody, either themselves or they know somebody who's buying or selling real estate. So if you have a list of 200 people, there's 20 transactions in there if you prospect them effectively. And then last on that list would be some form of a cold call, whether that's just listed, just sold, you're calling for an open house, whatever it might be, right? So I have a phenomenal script that I use with that. When I moved from up north down to Florida, Chris, I put together a cold calling script, very simple, straight to the point. It's got a very loaded question, the second question, to identify whether or not you should stay on the phone or not. So within 15 seconds, you'll know whether you should stay on the phone. When I put that script together and made calls, now I was calling around the clock. I will say that. I remember this. Yeah, you were listing like $1 million condos that people had. Yeah, without even seeing them. I got 11 listings in 13 weeks. But I will say I was on the phone like night and day because I had nothing else to do. Go market. So it works. It's hard work. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. It's definitely a lot of hard work, but if you put the work in, it's rewarding.
But it's like anything that's worth doing is hard work, right? Like it's not everything's easy. Yeah.
Exactly.
Well, dude, I really appreciate it. So basically,
anytime, brother.
You join your Take 52 group, and then I'm going to link for your Vulcan 7 below. And like Jim's not on here pitching anything like that. I just, as a friend, I asked him to help, and he definitely wanted to help out. Dude, I really appreciate you, man. You're a great dude, and you look good, that you've been down in Florida, and then look at me, like you're a lot more tanner than I am. Yeah. All right, bro. I appreciate you so much, man.
Anytime, Chris.
All right. Thanks, man.
You're welcome.